Now, Julie, also, one of the reasons why property prices are starting to appreciate is because, right now there's a little bit of a lack of inventory, meaning
Correct.
there are fewer homes being listed right now
Right.
than a year or two ago. But you're very good, at going out and securing listings.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about how you go about, going out and securing those listings, and then and we already talked about some of the marketing techniques. But you have a listing inventory, versus a lot of agents don't even have a listing inventory.
Mm-hmm.
They might be strictly representing buyers, but you have both. I mean, you
Right.
have listings and you're working with buyers.
Right. Well, the thing with listings is at the end of the day, when you're hiring an agent, you want to know it's marketed properly. But at the end of the day, everybody has a financial goal.
Right.
And whether it's to, have a nest egg for retirement or fuel their next move. But, that's something to sit down, like I said, with people. I tell them literally and figuratively, I am going to cover your kitchen table with information. But, along with that, it says, this is the pricing. This is the value of the house. This is how, as we go forward, we'll know and be comforted that we are accurate in this. And if we're wrong, the corrections we'll make. Because, I always tell people, if I'm sitting down with you today, and tomorrow your neighbor's house, which is the exact same, sells for $50,000 more or $50,000 less, we need to take that under advisement. But, along with that is I also sit down with people and say, not only is this the market and what you can expect from marketing, these are your expenses.
Yeah.
And like I said, every transaction is different, but setting the expectation with people to say, this is how we're going to go forward, and this is how we're going to keep track of everything we're doing so that we're constantly going. I say to people, there's nothing that we're going to agree on today that's going to be the be-all, end-all, and everything can be changeable. And that's why we look at feedback from buyers and the market conditions and things like that. And I think, I ask people often, what made you go with me? And I tell them it's a professional feedback that I appreciate from them. And oftentimes I get my honesty, my communication
very
skills.
Straightforward. Yeah.
And I'm very straightforward because you know what? I would rather let you down in the price I tell you now than disappoint you that it doesn't sell. But at the same token, it's not just me talking at you. It's look at all
Here's
this
the
information.
data.
You see the information, so we're making the same, conclusions. And I've had people, oftentimes it's not uncommon to be in competition for a listing. And, I had one recently where the people said that the other two realtors were $20,000 higher than I was.
Yeah.
But they saw the research I did to show, like, okay, we make a decision.
Why it should be
This
listed
is
there.
right. Yeah, at the end of the day, you don't want a sign to be a lawn decoration. You can get plenty of those at the store.
What many people don't realize is that if they overprice their home by even 5 to 10%, that could mean that it doesn't sell at all,
Right.
or it doesn't sell for 6 to 8 months longer than it would take to normally sell it.
Right.
And it's really always intrigued me in this business, Julie, and I've been doing this since 1985. It's always intrigued me how many people think that they know more than the realtor.
Right.
Now, that's not a put down of anybody who's watching the video,
Right.
but this is somebody who's professional. This is their full-time profession.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many times you might walk into a home and somebody will say to you, well, my brother-in-law said this, or my tax bill says this, or the house down the street sold for this, and that all may be true.
Sure.
However, market conditions change every day.
Right.
And what you do is you bring the most relevant current data. And what I really like about you saying that and I know this because we work together, is how truthful and straightforward you are in your presentation. Is there are some realtors out there who would tell somebody the house is worth more than it is just to get the listing.
Right.
Right.
But I don't want just the listing. I want the sale.
There you go.
Well, at a price that's fair for them. And that's people need to look at the whole picture.
Right.
For that.
Well, that's a great phrase, Julie. Look at the whole picture. We've talked about your background and experience. We've talked about the company, Prudential Page, how you have a marketing team, transaction team, personal assistant. Now, obviously, you've displayed your knowledge of the real estate process and how buyers and sellers interact and how they each should be preparing to maximize either the purchase or the sale. And one of the most important things, I think, that is part of the total package that we're discussing here today is your enthusiasm and your passion.
Right.
There are many realtors over the past 2, 3, 4 years who've gotten so worn down because how difficult the market was. They don't have the passion for real estate anymore. Even though the market has shifted back, many people don't have the enthusiasm and passion for this business anymore. And I think it's very important that you work with somebody who has that sort of enthusiasm and passion combined with truthfulness, because there are going to be times when, as a realtor, you may not want to tell the client something, but it's true.
Right.
So you have to tell them
Right.
that the truth is we have to lower the price of the property by $5,000
Yeah.
to get it sold
Right.
because market conditions have changed.
Right.
Or if you're a buyer, if you don't have a pre-approval letter, I can't even submit an offer.
Right.
So these are the kind of things you have to be very direct and straight with. And working with you, you get all of those things.
Well, and I think something people are growingly aware of too is with what the market's done and the mortgage crisis, lending guidelines have changed. And so certain properties don't qualify for certain types of mortgage programs. And both buyers and sellers need to be aware of that. And my call it addiction, passion, whatever it is to
It's
real
not an
estate.
addiction, it's a passion.
It's just staying, a step ahead of those guidelines and whatnot, so people can be aware of the things that are beyond our control.
Right.
We can change what we're going to do for marketing for a particular property. We can't change the HUD and the FHA
Right.
guidelines that are coming and affecting the market for everybody.
Yeah.